Welcome to Stairway to English. Today, we'll explore the dopamine factor in success, how this small chemical in your brain controls your motivation and shapes your future. Listen carefully, read along, and feel the words. If you enjoy learning English through real ideas and powerful stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments, what motivates you the most in life? Episode 1: The Hidden Chemical Behind Motivation. Success is something almost everyone wants, but not everyone understands how it truly works. Many people think success is about working harder, getting lucky, or having talent. But there is something much deeper happening inside your brain, something invisible but powerful. That thing is called dopamine. It's a small chemical that plays a big role in how you feel, how you act, and how you chase your goals. Dopamine is often called the motivation molecule. It is not just about pleasure or happiness, it's about desire. It pushes you to move, to learn, and to achieve something. When you imagine your dream job, finish a project, or even check a message on your phone, dopamine is released. It gives you a sense of reward, that small yes feeling inside your mind. But dopamine is not just a reward, it is the drive that makes you want to move forward again. Scientists have discovered that people who have higher dopamine activity tend to be more goal-oriented. They are not necessarily happier, but they are more motivated. They wake up with a sense of purpose, and they chase what they want, even when it's difficult. On the other hand, when dopamine levels are low, people feel unmotivated, tired, and easily distracted. They may want to change their life, but can't find the energy to start. But here's something interesting. Dopamine doesn't only come after success. It also appears before success, when you imagine it. When you visualize your dream life, when you think about your goals, or even when you believe something great is coming, your brain releases dopamine. This small spark gives you the energy to begin. That's why having a vision or a dream is so important. It's not only a nice thought, it's a biological trigger that helps your brain focus and act. However, there is a trap. In today's world, we are surrounded by things that easily trigger dopamine. Social media likes, fast food, video games, and online shopping. These activities give you small, instant rewards, but they don't lead to real progress. They make you feel good for a few seconds, but then your brain wants more and more of that quick pleasure. Over time, your brain gets used to the easy dopamine, and real challenges start to feel boring or too hard. This is called dopamine overstimulation. It's one reason why people struggle to stay focused on their goals. To truly use dopamine for success, you need to train your brain to enjoy delayed rewards instead of instant ones. That means feeling satisfaction not from the result, but from the process, from the effort itself. Successful people understand this. They don't wait for motivation. They create it through action. Every time they take one small step, their brain releases a little dopamine, and that becomes their energy source. Imagine a student learning English. If they study only for the final result, like passing an exam or speaking perfectly, they might lose motivation quickly. But if they enjoy each small step, like understanding a new word or listening to a new story, their brain will keep releasing dopamine regularly. That positive cycle builds confidence, focus, and long-term success. The truth is, dopamine is not about luck or willpower. It's about training your brain to love progress. Each time you celebrate a small win, you are programming your brain for success. Each time you take action instead of waiting for motivation, you are telling your brain, this is what matters. Over time, this pattern builds momentum, a quiet but powerful force that keeps you moving forward even when you face obstacles. In the next episode, we will explore how dopamine shapes your habits and how you can use that knowledge to build a stronger mindset for success. Because once you understand how your brain rewards effort, you can start using that same system to change your life from the inside out. Success is not just about effort, it's about chemistry. And the more you understand it, the more you can control it. Episode 2: How Dopamine Shapes Your Habits. In the first episode, we learned that dopamine is the chemical that drives motivation and makes us feel rewarded. Now, let's look deeper into how this small chemical shapes our habits, our routines, and even the direction of our lives. Many people believe habits are built through discipline alone, but in reality, they are built through dopamine, the brain's natural way of rewarding certain behaviors and repeating them. Every habit you have today, both good and bad, exists because of dopamine. When you do something and your brain releases dopamine, it remembers that action as important or rewarding. This memory makes you want to do it again. For example, if you eat chocolate, your brain releases dopamine and you feel good. The next time you see chocolate, your brain remembers that feeling and sends you a small signal. Do it again. That is how habits are formed. This same process works for both positive and negative habits. When you check your phone every few minutes, it's not because you need to. It's because your brain has learned that there might be something new, exciting, or rewarding. The small chance of getting a message, a like, or a notification creates a dopamine loop. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. You don't even think about it anymore. Your brain is chasing dopamine, not information. But here's the good news. This same mechanism can help you build powerful, positive habits. You can teach your brain to release dopamine for things that truly improve your life: studying, exercising, reading, or practicing English. The secret is to connect these activities with small, satisfying rewards and emotions. If your brain begins to see learning or discipline as rewarding, it will start working for you instead of against you. Let's take an example. Imagine you want to practice English every day. In the beginning, your brain doesn't naturally find this exciting. It feels like work. But if you give yourself a small reward each time you finish, like watching a short video you enjoy or marking your progress on a calendar, your brain begins to associate study time with positive feelings. After a few weeks, you no longer need the external reward. The act of studying itself starts to release dopamine because your brain now connects it with progress and satisfaction. That is how long-term habits are born. Neuroscientists call this process dopamine conditioning. You are basically training your brain like a muscle. The more you repeat a behavior that brings real satisfaction, the stronger the connection becomes. But you must be careful about one thing. Fake rewards can destroy real motivation. If you spend all your dopamine energy on instant pleasures, like scrolling through social media or watching endless videos, your brain gets used to easy rewards, and stops finding joy in meaningful progress. You start to feel bored, even when doing things that once excited you. That's why balance is so important. Another key point is the timing of dopamine. The brain doesn't just release it when you achieve something, it also releases it before, when you anticipate success. That means the simple act of setting goals and imagining progress can actually increase your motivation. When you say to yourself, I'm going to study for 20 minutes, your brain prepares for a reward. If you complete that goal, the dopamine hits even stronger. This is why clear, small goals work so well. They keep your brain's reward system active. The trick, then, is to build a lifestyle where effort itself feels rewarding. Successful people often enjoy their daily process because their brains are trained to find satisfaction in growth, not just in results. For example, a musician doesn't wait for a concert to feel joy. They enjoy practicing every day. A language learner doesn't wait to be fluent to feel proud. They celebrate every new sentence they understand. This kind of mindset turns life into a continuous loop of progress and reward, powered by dopamine. If you ever feel unmotivated, remember, it's not about being lazy. It's often because your dopamine system is unbalanced. You are giving it too many short-term hits and not enough long-term rewards. To fix this, start by limiting quick pleasures and focusing on small, meaningful goals. Replace empty stimulation with effort-based satisfaction. Every time you resist an easy distraction, your brain becomes stronger. Every time you choose focus over comfort, your dopamine system becomes more disciplined. In the end, dopamine doesn't control you. You control it. Once you understand how it works, you can use it as a tool to design your life. You can turn hard work into joy, progress into pleasure, and effort into energy. That's the real secret behind successful people. They are not fighting their brain chemistry, they are using it. In the next episode, we'll explore how dopamine influences your focus and attention, and how mastering this connection can help you stay productive, calm, and deeply engaged in everything you do. Episode 3: Dopamine, Focus, and the Power of Attention. In this episode, we will talk about how dopamine controls not just your motivation, but also your ability to focus. Many people think focus is only about willpower, about pushing yourself to pay attention. But the truth is deeper. Focus is not about forcing your mind, it's about guiding your dopamine. Wherever dopamine goes, your attention follows. Think about this for a moment. When you're scrolling through social media, you may notice how easily you stay focused. You can spend 30 minutes, even an hour, without realizing how much time has passed. But when you try to read a book or study English, your mind starts to wander after just a few minutes. Why? It's not because your attention is weak, it's because your dopamine is flowing in the wrong direction. Your brain has learned that fast, new, exciting content gives quick rewards, so it chases them. Meanwhile, slower, deeper tasks release dopamine more slowly, so they feel harder, even if they are more valuable in the long run. Focus, then, is not something you have or don't have. It's something you train, and dopamine is the trainer. When you do something meaningful and stay consistent with it, your brain begins to connect effort with pleasure. This makes focus easier over time. You can literally rewire your dopamine system to make deep work more satisfying than distractions. Let's explore how this happens in daily life. Imagine you are learning English by listening and reading every day. In the beginning, it feels hard. Your mind gets tired quickly and you want to stop. But if you continue, just a little each day, your brain begins to change. Slowly, your dopamine system starts rewarding you not for finishing quickly, but for understanding more. You begin to feel a quiet satisfaction every time you catch a new word or phrase. This is your brain adapting. It's learning to value focus. The opposite also happens. Every time you switch from one app to another or interrupt your work to check your phone, your brain gets a small dopamine hit. These small bursts teach your brain to seek constant novelty instead of deep attention. Over time, this can make long focus almost impossible. You might feel restless, bored, or anxious when things slow down. The world today is full of distractions designed to do exactly this, to steal your dopamine and scatter your attention. But there's hope. You can train your brain to love focus again. One of the best ways is to create a dopamine-friendly environment, a space with fewer distractions, clear goals, and a bit of challenge. Your brain likes challenge. When something is just hard enough to make you grow, dopamine levels rise naturally. That's why playing a sport, learning an instrument, or practicing a new language feels so rewarding after a while. The brain enjoys progress. Here's a simple exercise. Next time you sit down to study or work, set a timer for just 20 minutes. During that time, focus on one thing only. No phone, no notifications, no multitasking. When the timer ends, take a short break, maybe stretch, drink water, or go for a walk. Then repeat. This is called dopamine cycling. You're training your brain to focus, rest, and refocus, just like muscles train through exercise and recovery. After a few weeks, you'll notice something powerful. Focus becomes natural, even enjoyable. Another secret of focus is curiosity. When you're curious, your brain automatically releases dopamine. Curiosity is like a mental spark. It makes learning exciting. So instead of forcing yourself to focus, ask questions. Why is this word used like that? How does this grammar pattern work? What does this story teach me? Each question pulls dopamine toward the task, turning study into exploration. That's why curious learners always stay motivated. They are playing with their minds, not fighting them. It's also important to understand that dopamine and stress are connected. When you are stressed, your brain releases cortisol, which blocks dopamine. That's why anxiety kills focus. If your mind is full of fear or worry, it can't enjoy progress. The key is to stay calm and positive while working. You can do this through deep breathing, gentle music, or gratitude. When you feel relaxed and grateful, dopamine flows more easily and your brain becomes more open to learning and creativity. Finally, remember that real focus is not about working harder, it's about working deeper. You can't fight distraction forever, but you can make your focused moments stronger and more meaningful. Even 30 minutes of real focus can be more powerful than 3 hours of half-distracted work. The more you practice deep attention, the more your brain learns to enjoy it. Over time, your dopamine will stop chasing fast pleasures and start rewarding patience, understanding, and growth. In the end, dopamine is not your enemy, it's your guide. It wants to help you, but it follows the path you build. If you build a path of distraction, dopamine will live there. But if you build a path of focus and purpose, it will follow you into your best work. In the next episode, we'll talk about dopamine balance, how to manage overstimulation, reduce addiction to instant pleasure, and create a healthy brain chemistry that supports motivation, peace, and long-term success. Episode 4, The Balance of Dopamine, Escaping Overstimulation. In this episode, we will talk about one of the most important ideas in modern life, dopamine balance. Many people today live in a constant cycle of overstimulation. Every few minutes, they check their phones, scroll social media, watch short videos, and chase quick entertainment. Each of these actions gives a small but powerful burst of dopamine. It feels good for a moment, but it doesn't last. Soon, your brain wants another hit. This endless loop makes focus, patience, and real happiness much harder to find. To understand dopamine balance, imagine your brain like a scale. On one side, you have pleasure, and on the other, you have pain. When you get a dopamine rush, for example, when someone likes your post or when you eat something sweet, the scale tilts toward pleasure. But the brain always tries to bring balance. After the pleasure fades, the scale swings back toward pain. You might feel bored, sad, or empty. Then, to escape that discomfort, you look for another hit of pleasure. More food, more videos, more scrolling, and the cycle repeats. This is how overstimulation works. The more often you chase quick rewards, the less sensitive your brain becomes to dopamine. You need bigger or faster pleasures just to feel normal. Things that used to bring joy, reading, walking, talking, start to feel dull. Your motivation drops. You feel tired even when you've done nothing all day. This is not laziness, it's a dopamine imbalance. But here's the good news. You can fix it. Your brain is flexible. It can heal, but it needs time and rest. The process is called dopamine detox or dopamine reset. It doesn't mean removing all pleasure from your life. It means taking control of it. You decide when and how you get dopamine, not the other way around. Let's look at how you can do this in daily life. The first step is awareness. Notice how often you reach for your phone without thinking. Notice how you open new apps or refresh your feed even when there's nothing new. These small moments show that your brain is seeking constant stimulation. When you become aware of it, you can pause and ask yourself, do I really need this right now, or am I just avoiding boredom? That small question is the beginning of balance. The second step is replacement. Instead of trying to stop all stimulation, replace fast dopamine with slow dopamine. Fast dopamine comes from quick pleasures like social media, junk food, or constant entertainment. Slow dopamine comes from meaningful activities, learning, exercise, reading, or creating something. Slow dopamine takes longer to build, but lasts much longer and feels deeper. For example, imagine you replace 30 minutes of scrolling with 30 minutes of walking outside. At first, it might feel boring, but soon your mind starts to relax. You begin to notice the sky, the air, and your own thoughts. Your brain starts to reset its reward system. After a week of doing this, you might feel calmer, more focused, and more motivated because your dopamine levels are finding balance again. The third step is discipline with rest. In our world, it's easy to think we must always be busy, but rest is not weakness, it's part of the balance. When you rest, your dopamine system resets. Sleep, quiet time, or simply doing nothing allows your brain to clean out mental noise. This rest makes you more sensitive to natural rewards like laughter, learning, or connection. It's also helpful to remove small dopamine traps from your environment. For example, turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep your phone away while studying, and limit how often you check messages. Even small changes can have big effects. When your brain stops expecting constant stimulation, it starts paying more attention to real life again. Another part of dopamine balance is purpose. When you have a goal that truly matters to you, your brain learns to release dopamine for progress, not just pleasure. Working toward a meaningful goal, even slowly, gives steady motivation without the crash that comes from instant rewards. This is the healthiest way to experience dopamine. Instead of chasing new excitement every day, you build consistent satisfaction over time. It's also important to understand that pain and effort are not enemies of dopamine. They are part of the process. When you exercise, study, or work hard, your brain may release less dopamine in the moment, but later it releases more as a reward for your effort. That's why long-term goals feel more satisfying than quick pleasures. Your brain connects hard work with happiness when the balance is right. So, how can you start balancing your dopamine today? You don't need to quit everything. Start small. Choose one habit that gives quick dopamine, maybe watching videos late at night or checking social media too often, and reduce it by half. Then, fill that time with something that brings slow dopamine, reading, journaling, or learning something new. After a few weeks, you'll feel a clear difference: more energy, more peace, more focus. Remember, dopamine itself is not bad. It's what drives you to grow, learn, and achieve. The problem is when it becomes your master instead of your tool. Balance means using dopamine wisely to help you create a better life, not escape from it. In the next and final episode, we will explore how to master your dopamine completely, how to build a healthy system of motivation that supports success, happiness, and peace of mind for the rest of your life. Episode 5: Mastering Dopamine, Turning Motivation into Lasting Success. In the final episode of The Dopamine Factor in Success, we are going to explore how to master dopamine. You already know that dopamine is not just about pleasure. It's the fuel for your motivation, focus, and persistence. When used wisely, dopamine becomes one of your strongest tools for building success. But to master it, you must learn how to create a relationship with dopamine that is stable, balanced, and meaningful. The first key to mastering dopamine is direction. Many people waste their dopamine because they don't give it a clear purpose. Their energy spreads across too many small goals: checking messages, chasing likes, or jumping from one task to another. But dopamine works best when it has one clear target. When you focus your attention on a single, meaningful goal, every small action toward it gives you a sense of progress. This steady progress keeps your brain releasing healthy amounts of dopamine, and that creates long-term motivation. Think of an artist painting a large picture. If they keep switching to new projects every hour, they never finish anything and quickly lose motivation. But if they stay with one piece, each brushstroke gives them a sense of achievement. That feeling, progress toward a vision, is what dopamine truly loves. So choose one meaningful direction and give your brain a reason to keep releasing motivation energy in that path. The second key is delayed gratification, learning to wait for rewards. Modern life teaches us to want everything now, but the people who can delay pleasure build stronger dopamine systems. This skill allows them to stay focused longer, resist distractions, and enjoy the process of working, Each small delay strengthens the connection between effort and satisfaction. For example, if you want to watch a movie, first finish a chapter of your study. When you finally watch the movie, it feels more enjoyable because your brain connects pleasure with effort. Over time, this habit builds powerful self-control. The third key is habit design. Dopamine is deeply connected to habits. When you repeat an action and feel a small reward, your brain creates a loop. For example, exercising daily or reading before bed can become automatic if you reward yourself correctly. The trick is to connect positive habits with small, natural rewards, not artificial ones. After studying for an hour, enjoy a short walk. After finishing a project, have a good meal or listen to your favorite song. These small celebrations tell your brain, this work matters. Do it again. But what about failure? Dopamine mastery is not about avoiding failure, it's about how you respond to it. When something goes wrong, your dopamine drops. You feel disappointment, and that's normal. But the secret is to use that pain as information, not as punishment. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Each time you recover from a failure, your brain grows stronger. It starts releasing dopamine not only for success, but also for progress through struggle. This is what builds resilience, the power to keep going even when results are far away. The fourth key is gratitude. It may sound simple, but gratitude resets your dopamine system. When you stop to appreciate what you already have, health, food, people, opportunities, your brain releases small but stable amounts of dopamine. This type of dopamine doesn't depend on external rewards. It grows from within. People who practice gratitude daily tend to stay motivated and positive because their brains don't constantly chase new stimulation. They already feel rewarded by life itself. Another powerful tool for dopamine mastery is visualization. Your brain releases dopamine not only for real actions, but also for imagined success. When you clearly visualize your goal, like passing an exam, finishing a creative project, or improving your skills, your brain starts preparing for it. Visualization creates emotional energy that moves you forward. It's like programming your brain to expect success, and dopamine becomes your ally in that journey. However, there is one more element often forgotten: rest and renewal. To master dopamine, you must respect your limits. Constant work without rest burns out the system. You lose focus, passion, and energy. But when you schedule rest, sleep, nature, quiet time, your brain recharges. After a break, dopamine becomes sensitive again, and small things start to feel exciting. True mastery comes from the rhythm between effort and rest, focus and peace. Now, let's bring everything together. You've learned that dopamine is not your enemy. It's your natural guide toward growth. When it's balanced, it pushes you to act, to learn, and to build something meaningful. But when it's overstimulated, it controls you, keeping you trapped in endless loops of distraction. The difference between success and frustration is how you manage that tiny chemical messenger in your brain. So here is a simple formula for lasting success. Clarity. Know what truly matters to you. Consistency. Take small steps every day toward it. Patience. Delay rewards and enjoy the process. Gratitude. Feel good for every bit of progress. Rest. Protect your energy and let your brain recover. If you follow this path, you will not only achieve your goals, you will feel fulfilled while doing it. Your motivation will stop depending on external things and will come from inside you. This is the ultimate power of mastering dopamine. Imagine waking up each day with calm focus, knowing what to do and why it matters. Imagine enjoying the work itself, not just the reward. That's what happens when dopamine becomes your partner, not your master. You stop chasing short-term highs and start building long-term joy. The dopamine factor is not a secret anymore. It's a truth that can change your life if you use it wisely. Every great inventor, athlete, artist, or leader has learned to channel dopamine into discipline. They don't let emotions control them. They use motivation as a tool. You can do the same. Remember this, success is not luck. It's chemistry with direction. When your brain and purpose move together, you create unstoppable energy. You create a life where effort feels rewarding and progress feels natural. That is the real dopamine-driven success. And that's how you turn motivation into mastery. Not for one week, not for one goal, but for a lifetime.